A guy is driving when suddenly his car runs out of gas. Just then, a bee buzzes in through the window. "Hey, what's going on?" asks the bee. "Out of gas," the guy replies. The bee says, "Hang tight," and zooms off. A few minutes later, the guy sees a whole swarm of bees fly over and dive right into his gas tank. After a little while, the bees fly away. "Go ahead, give it a try," says the bee. The guy turns the key, and the car starts perfectly. "Wow, what did you put in my tank?" he asks. The bee grins and says, "BP." A young newlywed couple wanted to join a church. The pastor told them, "We have special requirements for new parishioners. You must abstain from sex for 2 weeks." The couple agreed. 2 weeks later, they returned. The pastor asked, "Well, were you able to get through the 2 weeks without being intimate?" The husband sighed. "Pastor, I'm afraid we couldn't." "What happened?" the pastor asked. The husband explained, "My wife was reaching for a can of corn on the top shelf. It slipped and fell. When she bent over to pick it up, I was overcome with lust and took her right there." The pastor shook his head. "You realize, of course, that means you are no longer welcome in our church." The husband shrugged and said, "That's okay. We're not welcome at the grocery store anymore either." The chairman of a big company found his car wouldn't start, so he called the carpool. A cheerful voice answered, "Carpool!" The chairman said, "What cars do you have available?" The voice replied, "Well, we've got vans for the factory runs, Mondeos for the sales team, BMWs for the directors, and one big fancy Mercedes for Fatty, our chairman." The chairman said sharply, "Do you know who you are speaking to?" "No," the voice replied. "This is your chairman." Another pause. Then the voice calmly said, "Do you know who you're speaking to?" "No," said the chairman. "Good," said the voice. "So long, Fatty." Little Johnny and Susie, both 5 years old, were playing house when they decided it was time to get married. Determined to make it official, little Johnny approached Susie's dad to ask for her hand in marriage. Susie's dad, amused, played along. "And where do you plan to live?" he asked. Johnny thought for a moment and confidently replied, "I'll just move into Susie's room. There's plenty of space for both of us." "And how will you support yourselves?" Susie's dad inquired. "Well," Johnny explained, "I get a $5 allowance every week, and so does Susie. That should be enough." Now, growing a bit exasperated, Susie's dad decided to challenge him further. "But what if little ones come along?" Johnny shrugged and said with a grin, "Well, we've been lucky so far." A woman, frustrated because her husband was late coming home from golf yet again, decided to leave a note that read, "I've had enough. I'm leaving you. Don't try to find me." She then hid under the bed to watch his reaction. Soon after, her husband came home. She could hear him in the kitchen before he made his way into the bedroom. She watched as he walked over to the dresser, picked up the note, and read it. After a moment, he scribbled something on the note, then picked up the phone and called someone. "She's finally gone. Yeah, it's about time. I'm on my way. Wear the French nightie. I love you. Can't wait to see you. We'll do all the naughty things you like." He hung up, grabbed his keys, and left. As she heard the car drive away, she crawled out from under the bed, furious and heartbroken. With trembling hands, she picked up the note to see what he had written. "I can see your feet. We're out of bread. Be back in 5 minutes. 80-year-old Bessie bursts into the recreation room of the retirement home. She holds her clenched fist in the air and announces, "Anyone who can guess what's in my hand can sleep with me tonight." A witty, elderly gentleman in the rear shouts out, "An elephant?" Bessie thinks a minute and replies, "Close enough." A woman takes her 16-year-old daughter to the doctor. Doctor: "Okay, Mrs. O'Hara, what's the problem?" Mom: "It's my daughter, Bernadette. She keeps getting these crazy food cravings. She's putting on weight, and most mornings she's sick. The doctor gives Bernadette a thorough exam, then turns to the mother and says, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but your Bernadette is pregnant. About 4 months would be my estimate." Mom: "Pregnant? She can't be. She's never even been left alone with a man. Have you, Bernadette?" Bernadette: "No, Mother. I've never even kissed a man." The doctor walks over to the window and stares out. About 5 minutes pass. Mom: "Is something wrong out there, doctor?" Doctor: "No, not at all. It's just that the last time anything like this happened, a star appeared in the east, and 3 wise men came over the hill. I'll be damned if I'm going to miss it this time." Teacher asks, "Difference between call girl, girlfriend, and wife?" Class goes silent. Johnny raises his hand. "Prepaid, postpaid, and unlimited." Teacher freezes. Class bursts out laughing. In a small southern town, a local prosecutor called his first witness to the stand, a sweet-looking, elderly woman named Mrs. Jones. He smiled confidently and asked, "Mrs. Jones, do you know me?" She replied, "Why, yes, I do know you, Mr. Williams. I've known you since you were a boy. And to be honest, you've been a disappointment ever since. You lie, you cheat on your wife, you talk bad about people behind their backs, and you think you're more important than you really are. You ain't nothing but a paper-pushing, loud-talking, small-town show-off. Yes, sir, I know you." The courtroom fell silent. The stunned lawyer didn't know what to say, so he nervously pointed to the defense attorney and asked, "Mrs. Jones, do you know the defense attorney?" She nodded. "Why, yes, I do. I've known Mr. Bradley since he was a little rascal. He's lazy, prejudiced, drinks like a fish, and he's never held a steady relationship. His law practice is a joke, and bless his heart, he cheated on his wife, with 3 different women. One of them was your wife." The defense attorney slid down in his chair. The judge quickly banged his gavel and called both attorneys to the bench. In a whisper, he growled, "If either of you fools asks her if she knows me, I swear I'll have you both fried in the electric chair." A woman was having a steamy affair with an inspector from a pest control company. One afternoon, they were in the middle of business when her husband came home unexpectedly. "Quick," she gasped, "hide in the closet." The exterminator scrambled off the bed, stark naked, and jumped into the closet just as the husband walked into the bedroom. But the husband was suspicious. After looking around, he flung the closet door open, only to find a strange man standing there completely naked. "Who the hell are you?" the husband demanded. "I'm an inspector from Bugs Be Gone," the man replied coolly. "And what exactly are you doing in my closet?" the husband asked. "I'm investigating a complaint about a moth infestation," said the exterminator. The husband narrowed his eyes. "Oh yeah? Then, where are your clothes?" The man looked down at his bare body, sighed, and muttered, "Those little bastards." "My daughter calls me out of the blue. No hello, no how are you, just straight to business." Her: "You know that Gladiator movie I got you for your birthday?" Me: "Yeah?" Her: "I need you to fast forward it to 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 28 seconds. Me: "Okay, done." Her: "Do you see the gladiator at the front fighting the lion?" Me: "I see him." Her: "Now look just behind him. 2 gladiators sword fighting." Me: "Got them." Her: "Great. Now behind those 2 on the left side of the screen, see that woman gladiator holding a spear?" Me: "Yep, I see her." Her: "Perfect. I want her sandals for my birthday." I sat there in stunned silence, staring at the screen, trying to figure out how my daughter had just used a scene of bloody ancient combat to do fashion reconnaissance. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've raised a genius. The owner of a lazy racehorse had finally had enough. "Listen," he warned the horse one morning, "if you don't win today, you'll be pulling a milk cart at dawn." Later that afternoon, the horse was at the starting gate with the others, ready to race. The bell rang, the gates flew open, and every horse thundered forward, except one. His horse was lying down, snoozing right there on the track. Furious, the owner ran over and shouted, "What are you doing?" The horse slowly opened one eye and said, "Saving my energy. I've got a milk route at 3 a.m. A big game hunter went on safari with his wife and his mother-in-law. One night, while deep in the jungle, the wife woke up to find her mother missing. Panicked, she shook her husband awake. "My mother's gone. We have to find her." The hunter sighed, grabbed his rifle, took a swig of whiskey, and trudged off into the dark. Not far from camp, they stumbled upon a terrifying sight. The mother-in-law was backed up against a thick, thorny bush, while a massive male lion stood growling, ready to pounce. The wife gasped, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" The hunter calmly took another swig and said, "Nothing. The lion got himself into this mess. He can get himself out of it." A lawyer married a woman who had previously divorced 5 husbands. On their wedding night, she told her new husband, "Please be gentle. I'm still a virgin." "What?" said the puzzled groom. "How can that be if you've been married 5 times?" "Well, husband 1 was a sales representative. He kept telling me how great it was going to be. Husband 2 was an engineer. He understood the basic process, but wanted 3 years to research, implement, and design a new state-of-the-art method. Husband 3 was in marketing. Although he had a nice product, he was never sure how to position it. Husband 4 was a psychologist. All he ever did was talk about it. Husband 5 was a stamp collector. All he ever did was, "God, I miss him. But now that I've married you, I'm really excited." "Good," said the lawyer. "But why?" "You're a lawyer," she replies. "This time I know I'm going to get screwed." A woman asks her husband at breakfast time, "Would you like some bacon and eggs, a slice of toast, and maybe some grapefruit juice and coffee?" He declines. "Thanks for asking, but I'm not hungry right now. It's this Viagra," he says. "It's really taken the edge off my appetite." At lunchtime, she asked him if he would like something. "How about a bowl of soup, homemade muffins, or a cheese sandwich?" He declines. "The Viagra," he says. "It's really spoiled my need for food." Come dinner time, she asks if he wants anything to eat. "Would you like a juicy ribeye steak and some scrumptious apple pie? Or maybe a rotisserie chicken or tasty stir-fry?" He declines again. "No," he says. "It's gotta be the Viagra. I'm still not hungry." "Well," she says, "would you mind getting off me? I'm bloody starving." A husband and wife visit a marriage counselor after 15 years of bickering. The wife immediately launches into a non-stop tirade, listing every complaint, every disappointment, and every fight they've ever had. She just won't stop. Finally, the counselor calmly stands up, walks over, gently takes the wife in his arms, and kisses her passionately. She goes completely silent, wide-eyed and speechless. The counselor turns to the husband and says, "See? That is what your wife needs, at least 3 times a week. Can you manage that?" The husband thinks for a moment and replies, "Well, I can bring her in on Monday and Wednesday, but Friday I play golf." A man went to the dentist to schedule getting a tooth pulled. "I don't have a lot of money," he confessed. "Is there any way we could make the procedure cheaper?" "I suppose for a small discount," thought the dentist. "We could reuse some of our disposable tools. It may slightly increase your risk of infection, but theoretically, you should be fine." "That sounds good, but is there anything you could do to bring the price down even more?" the man asked. The dentist thinks a moment. "I'm currently training a new hygienist. He is very green and very impatient, but if we let him practice on you, that will save me from ruining another set of training teeth." "Great, but is there anything else you could possibly do for me?" The dentist shakes his head. No. The only thing left would be to leave out the painkillers. But without those, the procedure will extremely painful. Absolutely unbearable, even. Please, sir, the man plead. I'm destitute. I'll do whatever it takes to make this as cheap as possible. The dentist relents. Very well. I have an opening tomorrow morning at 9:30 if you're ready. Shall I have a name for the appointment? My wife's name is Sharon. The man responds, I'll be dropping her off around 9. A tourist goes to a restaurant in Madrid and orders the house special. When it arrives, he looks puzzled. Excuse me, what exactly is this? The waiter smiles proudly. Senor, these are cojones, the testicles of the bull that lost the bullfight this afternoon. A true delicacy. The tourist hesitates, then tries them. And they're delicious. The very next day he comes back and eagerly orders the same dish. When they arrive, he notices they're much smaller than yesterday. Yesterday they were huge. Why are today's so small? The waiter sighs, leans in, and says quietly, Well, senor, sometimes the bull wins. Then he adds with a grin, and the matador isn't quite as well endowed. A week before Father's Day, Jake handed his dad $200. Here, he said, buy yourself something that'll make your life easier. His dad grinned, nodded, and tucked the cash away without saying much. Come Father's Day, Jake was curious. He imagined a shiny new power tool, maybe that high-tech grill his dad always admired, or even a recliner. But instead, his dad walked into the house carrying a small gift bag and handed it to Jake's mom. Jake blinked. Wait, what's that? A present for your mother, his dad said casually. Jake looked confused. But I gave you that money to make your life easier. His dad smiled knowingly and said, Exactly. Jake paused, then burst out laughing. Smartest $200 you ever spent. A man and woman had been married for more than 60 years. They had shared everything. They had talked about everything. They had kept no secrets from each other, except that the little old woman had a shoebox in the top of her closet that she had cautioned her husband never to open or ask her about. For all of these years, he had never thought about the box. But one day, the little old woman got very sick, and the doctor said she would not recover. In trying to sort out their affairs, the little old man took down the shoebox and took it to his wife's bedside. She agreed that it was time that he should know what was in the box. When he opened it, he found 2 crocheted dolls and a stack of money totaling $95,000. He asked her about the contents. When we were to be married, she said, my grandmother told me the secret of a happy marriage was to never argue. She told me that if I ever got angry with you, I should just keep quiet and crochet a doll. The little old man was so moved, he had to fight back tears. Only 2 precious dolls were in the box. She had only been angry with him 2 times in all those years of living and loving. He almost burst with happiness. Honey, he said, that explains the dolls, but what about all of this money? Where did it come from? Oh, she said, that's the money I made from selling the dolls. An elderly couple is enjoying lunch at a quiet little diner when the husband leans in and says, Do you remember our first time? Over 50 years ago, behind that old village tavern by the fence? She smiles. Oh, Jim, of course I do. He winks. What do you say we take a walk down memory lane, just for old time's sake? Giggling like teenagers, they slowly make their way toward the tavern, leaning on each other and their walking sticks. A young police officer nearby overhears the conversation and, amused and curious, decides to follow from a distance, just to make sure everything's okay. What happens next stuns him. Let's just say sparks fly, literally, and the couple ends up on the ground out of breath and giggling like school kids. As they brush themselves off and start to walk away, the officer, wide-eyed, approaches them and says, "Excuse me, that was impressive. What's your secret after all these years?" The old man chuckles. "Son, 50 years ago that fence wasn't electric." There were only 2 employees working the morning shift in a little factory. During a break, the woman says to her coworker, "I bet I can get the boss to send me home for the day." He raises an eyebrow and chuckles. "No way! That guy wouldn't give a day off even if the roof caved in. How are you going to pull that off?" She smirks. "Just watch." A minute later, she climbs up on a chair, hangs upside down from a pipe, and starts humming like a light bulb. Right then, the boss walks in and stares. "What in the world are you doing up there?" "I'm a light bulb," she says, completely serious. The boss squints, rubs his temples, and sighs. "You've obviously lost it. Go home, get some rest, and take the day off." As she walks out smiling, the man quickly grabs his jacket and starts heading for the door. The boss yells, "Hey, where do you think you're going?" The man shrugs. "I can't work in the dark." One quiet night in rural Maine, an old man woke up and gently reached over, only to realize his wife had passed in her sleep. He picked up the phone and called his son. "Son," he said softly, "I need you to come by. Your mother's gone." The son rushed over, and the 2 of them carefully carried her down the stairs to prepare for the next steps. But just as they reached the bottom, the son slipped a bit, and her head gently bumped the banister. Suddenly, she gasped, sat bolt upright, and started yelling, "What are you 2 doing trying to kill me early?" She lived another 2 years, and reminded them every single day about that little accident. Then one morning, she truly passed. Peacefully. The old man called his son again. As they gently lifted her from the bed, the father leaned in and said quietly, "All right, son. This time, whatever you do, don't bump her head." A mechanic was removing the cylinder head from the motor of a Harley motorcycle when he spotted a well-known heart surgeon in his shop. The surgeon was waiting for the service manager to take a look at his bike. The mechanic called out across the garage, "Hey, Doc, can I ask you a question?" The surgeon, a bit surprised, walked over to the mechanic, who was busy working on the motorcycle. The mechanic straightened up, wiped his hands on a rag, and said, "So, Doc, take a look at this engine. I open its heart, take the valves out, fix them, put them back in, and when I'm done, it works just like new. So how come I get paid so little and you get the big bucks? I mean, we're basically doing the same work, right?" The surgeon paused, smiled, and leaned in closer. Then, in a quiet voice, he whispered, "Try doing it with the engine running." A married man was having a secret affair with an Italian woman. One day, she shocked him with the news that she was pregnant. Terrified of his wife finding out, he begged her to leave the country to have the baby in secret. "I'll send you money every month," he promised, "but you must never come here with the child." The woman agreed, but they still needed a way to discreetly let him know when the baby was born. After thinking for a while, she said, "When the baby is born, I'll just send you a postcard from Italy. I'll write only one word on it. Spaghetti. That way you'll know without anyone else understanding." The man agreed. Problem solved, at least for now. Months went by. Then one afternoon, the man came home from work and his wife handed him a postcard. "It's from Italy," she said, puzzled. "But why would someone be sending you this?" The man tried to stay calm. "Oh, really? Let me see." He flipped it over and went pale. The postcard simply read, "Spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. 2 with meatballs, 1 without." A traffic officer pulled over a driver for blowing through a red light. Before the officer could say a word, the driver jumped out of the car, red in the face. "This is harassment," he shouted. "You people have nothing better to do?" The officer calmly explained the violation, but the man didn't want to hear it. He launched into a rant, questioning the officer's eyesight, intelligence, and even his haircut. Still calm, the officer wrote the ticket without responding to the insults. In the bottom corner of the report, he quietly jotted down 2 letters. NQ. The driver signed the ticket with a dramatic scribble, then pointed at the letters and barked, "What's this NQ supposed to mean?" The officer smiled. "Oh, just a little note to remind me this wasn't a normal quarrel." 2 months later, they met again, in court. The driver, hoping to fight the ticket, had hired a slick lawyer. During questioning, the attorney asked the officer, "Is this the exact ticket you gave my client?" "Yes, it is." "And do you typically mark your tickets with codes like this, NQ?" "Not always, only when the situation stands out." "And what does NQ mean exactly?" Without missing a beat, the officer replied, "Not quiet." The courtroom chuckled. The lawyer smirked. "Are you sure it doesn't mean something like, not quite polite?" The officer raised an eyebrow and grinned. "Well, sir, you know your client better than I do." The judge nearly dropped his gavel, trying not to laugh. There were 2 evil brothers. They were rich and used their money to keep their way from the public eye. They even attended the same church and looked to be perfect Christians. Then their pastor retired and a new one was hired. Not only could he see right through the brothers' deception, but he also spoke well and true, and the church started to swell in numbers. A fundraising campaign was started to build a new assembly. All of a sudden, one of the brothers died. The remaining brother sought out the new pastor the day before the funeral and handed him a check for the amount needed to finish paying for the new building. "I have only one condition," he said. "At his funeral, you must say my brother was a saint." The pastor gave his word and deposited the check. The next day at the funeral, the pastor did not hold back. "He was an evil man," he said. "He cheated on his wife and abused his family." After going on in this vein for a short time, he concluded with, "But compared to his brother, he was a saint." A lawyer and a doctor are speeding down a dark, winding road late at night. They both take a sharp curve too fast and crash head-on. Miraculously, neither is hurt, though their cars are completely totaled. The lawyer dusts himself off and says, "You know, Doc, it's a miracle we survived. Let's put aside our professional rivalries and celebrate this as a sign of peace between us." He goes to the trunk of his ruined car, pulls out a fine 12-year-old bottle of whiskey and says, "Here, let's toast to our survival." The doctor happily agrees, takes the bottle, raises it, and says, "May the doctor and the lawyer live in peace and harmony forever." Then he takes a big gulp, half the bottle gone. He hands it back to the lawyer, who calmly replies, "No thanks. I'll wait until the police get here." A grandmother is giving directions to her grown grandson who is visiting with his wife. "When you arrive at the front door of the apartment complex, I'm in apartment 14T. There's a big panel by the door. Use your elbow to press the button for 14T. I'll buzz you in. Once inside, the elevator is on your right. Get in and use your elbow to press 14. When you exit, my apartment is on the left. Use your elbow to press my doorbell." "Grandma, I know my way, but why am I using my elbow to press all these buttons?" "Are you coming empty-handed?" Conversation between the drunker and his dog. Drunk, slurring. "Hey boy, you're the best friend a guy could ask for." Dog, wagging tail. "Woof." Drunk, laughing. "I know, right? You never judge me, never criticize, never tell me to stop drinking." Laughs. Dog, whines. "Woof." Drunk, serious face. "What's that, boy? You're saying I should stop drinking and get a pizza instead?" Dog, barks. "Woof, woof." Drunk, excitedly. "Oh, great idea. You're a genius, boy." Stumbles to phone. "I'll order one right now." Dials. "Pizza place?" "Yeah, I want a pizza." "No, wait." Looks at dog. "How many slices do you want, boy?" Dog, whimpers. Whoa. Drunk, laughs. Okay, okay. 12 slices it is. Passes out. Dog, sighs. Woof. I was in a great place in life. I'd been dating the woman of my dreams for over a year, and we had just gotten engaged. Everything felt perfect. Well, almost. There was just one small complication, her younger sister. She was 22, charming, and always dressed to turn heads. I'd often catch her giving me very specific attention, leaning just a little too close, asking for help with things she clearly didn't need help with. Oddly, she never acted that way when others were around. I brushed it off until one afternoon. She called and asked if I could swing by the house to go over the wedding invitations. When I arrived, she opened the door, glanced around, and whispered, "I need to tell you something. I've had feelings for you. I know you're marrying my sister, but before that happens, I want one moment with you. Just once." Then she turned, walked up the stairs slowly, and added, "If you feel the same, come upstairs." I stood there, stunned. A million thoughts ran through my head, but my feet didn't move. Instead, I turned and walked straight to the front door and opened it. To my absolute shock, there stood her parents, my fiancé, and other family members, all staring at me. Then, they started clapping. Her dad walked up, tears in his eyes, and hugged me. "Son," he said, "you passed our test. We couldn't be happier to welcome you into our family."